All right, so today we're going to be taking a look at mitosis and meiosis. Before we go ahead and look at the differences between the two of them, let's take a look at the homework that was due for these two questions. If an organism has a diploid number of 28, how many chromosomes would be found in in one of its unfertilized eggs? Now remember, when you're trying to find the number of chromosomes in a gamete or sex cell, you divide the number that's given in the problem in half. So here the diploid number is 28, that diploid means it has two sets of chromosomes in that body cell. It gets one set from mom and one set from dad. So in one egg, it only has mom's set of chromosomes. So you're going to take 28 and divide it in half. The second one, the bromeliad flower, has 100 chromosomes in each haploid pollen cell. Now remember, when you think of the word haploid, think half. If you don't know what pollen is, it comes from trees and flowers, and it is a sex cell. And I could tell that this is a sex cell because sex cells are haploid. They have half as many chromosomes as body cells. So it's asking how many chromosomes will be in the bromeliad root cell. And here I know I'm looking for a somatic or body cell because the root is part of the body of the flower. So when we're trying to find the number of chromosomes in a somatic or body cell, you take the given number here, it's 100, and multiply it by 2 so that it has two sets of chromosomes from each parent. Just as a review, like I said, somatic cells, we also call them body cells, they're diploid, and they're diploid because they have two sets of chromosomes. One set comes from mom and the other set comes from dad. Gametes, or we call them sex cells, are haploid. So when you think of haploid, think of the word half because they only have one set of chromosomes. So the egg only has mom's set of chromosomes. The sperm has only dad's set of chromosomes. Now for humans, the sperm has 23 chromosomes and the egg, the human egg, has also 23 chromosomes. So when they get together, it's called fertilization, when the egg and the sperm join, and they'll join to create the zygote, the first few cells of the baby. And because it has both mom and dad's chromosomes, each body cell will have 46 chromosomes altogether. It will have dad's 23 chromosomes from the sperm and mom's 23 chromosomes from the egg. We also took a look at what mitosis is. It only divides somatic or body cells. Now remember, we saw this from before. We always start with interphase, where the cell is growing, copying DNA, doing its normal cell function, making sure everything's perfect. Then it'll go to mitosis when the cell starts to divide. So we'll see the chromosomes, and if you can see, they're kind of changing positions to the point where we're going to divide them up. We haven't fully divided the cell yet, but that's part of mitosis. We're kind of preparing the cell as it's dividing. There's 4 steps: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. And then at the end, cytokinesis happens where there's 2 cells at the end, and they're both identical to each other because in the beginning we copied the DNA, and that DNA is the same in both of these diploid cells or body cells. And since they're diploid, and if they're in humans, they're going to have 46 chromosomes. Now, body cells will do this process of mitosis PMAT, and I put PMAT as prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. That's what those letters mean. They'll go through this once, and at the end, they'll make 2 cells, like I said, that are identical. When you think of mitosis, think of the memory clue mitose, because it's a type of cell division that makes more body cells, and your toes are part of your body. Meiosis is different. Meiosis is making more gametes or sex cells. And in this case, if you take a look, there's many more steps involved. We still start with interphase, where we're checking, doing copying DNA, doing our normal cell functions. But if you see, it'll go through prophase, metaphase, and anaphase and telophase. It'll go through those same steps, but instead of just going through those steps one time, it'll go through it twice. That's why you'll see prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1, but then you'll see it the second time around, prophase 2, and metaphase 2, anaphase 2, and telophase 2. It'll do that twice That's why at the end of this process, instead of getting 2 cells, you're going to get 4 cells. And each one of those 4 cells, they're going to be either 4 eggs or 4 sperm. And they're going to be haploid. That means they have half as many chromosomes as the body cells. So if these are 4 egg or 4 sperm cells, they'll have, instead of 46 chromosomes each, they'll have 23. So the difference between mitosis and meiosis is they'll go through PMAT twice. They'll go through prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase twice. And that's how you get more cells at the end. Now, when you think of meiosis, think of the word me, because it's a type of cell division that makes me. Okay, what does that mean? Well, to make me, I needed to have those sex cells join, the egg and the sperm. And that's what meiosis is all about, making more sex cells. Now, another difference between mitosis and meiosis happens in prophase 1. Now, if you see, here's a cell that is going through prophase. These little bits and pieces are actually the nucleus or nuclear membrane or envelope, the outside of the nucleus breaking apart. We need to do that so that we can rearrange our chromosomes. If you see these 2 smaller chromosomes, they link up and pair with each other. And then the 2 big chromosomes, they link up and pair with each other. When you see chromosomes of the same size, they're called homologous. Now, when you think of homologous, think of the prefix homo, which means the same. We're going to see this prefix a lot when we go into genetics. And that just means that these chromosomes are the same size and they carry the same type of information. They're not identical, but they carry the same type of information. So these 2 larger chromosomes, they carry information about hair color, while these 2 smaller chromosomes, they might carry information about height. Now, what happens in prophase 1 that doesn't happen in prophase at all for mitosis and only happens in meiosis is that these chromosomes, they get together with their pair, the same size, their homologous chromosome. And then if you take a look, they kind of swap little bits and pieces of each other. So this chromosome is not completely blue. It has a little bit of red chromosome. This red chromosome has a little bit of the blue chromosome. Now, why is that important? Because when we make 4 egg or 4 sperm at the end, because of this crossing over, that means that each egg and each sperm will be a little bit different. They're not going to be identical to each other. This is the reason why if you have siblings with the same parents, you and your siblings do not look exactly the same, because every one of your mom's eggs is just a little bit different because of this process of crossing over, and every one of your dad's sperm is just a little bit different because of this process of crossing over. Okay, the only identical twins would have the same information because they're coming from the same egg and the same sperm, and somewhere while they're developing, that 1 egg and 1 sperm, after they join, they split up. So both babies will have the same information. But everybody else, you're having a different egg and different sperm from each, from each parent. That's why you and your siblings don't look the same. So remember, here is comparing mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis divides body cells, meiosis divides sex cells, okay? There's no change in the number of chromosomes. So in mitosis, so we have 46 chromosomes in our body cells, but then in meiosis, we cut that in half. We have 23 chromosomes. Mitosis makes those body cells that are diploid. Meiosis makes sex cells that are haploid. They have half the number of chromosomes. At the end of mitosis, you get 2 genetically identical cells because they're just copying the same DNA and making more of those types of cells. But meiosis, because of crossing over, each of the 4 egg or 4 sperm that we get at the end are a little bit different. Remember, mitosis goes through PMAT or cell division once, while meiosis goes through it twice. And here are our memory clues just to remind you.